Here's your complete YouTube script for Narcinity Insights. If someone does these 9 things, they may be a narcissist. You didn't end up here by accident. Someone in your life is making you question your own reality. And deep down, you already know something is very wrong. Maybe it's the person who constantly makes everything about themselves. Maybe it's someone who showers you with love one moment and tears you apart the next. Or maybe it's someone who has never once said, "I'm sorry," and actually meant it. Here's what nobody tells you. Narcissists rarely look like the villain in the movies. They look like your partner, your parent, your best friend, your boss. And by the time most people realize what they're dealing with, years of emotional damage have already been done. So stay with me, because what I'm about to share might be the most important thing you watch this week. These 9 behaviors are the ones psychologists and survivors consistently point to, and some of them will genuinely surprise you. Let's start with number 1, and this one sets the entire foundation. They constantly redirect every conversation back to themselves. Not occasionally, not sometimes, always. You could be crying about losing your job, and within 60 seconds, they've made it about their stress, their problems, their life. It's not accidental. It's a deeply ingrained pattern. Empathy requires them to focus on you, and that feels almost impossible for them to sustain. But here's where it gets interesting. They can fake empathy brilliantly in the beginning. It's later, once they feel secure, that the mask starts to slip. Number 2 is one that catches people completely off guard. They gaslight you so smoothly, you start doubting your own memory. That never happened. You're too sensitive. You're imagining things. These aren't just dismissive comments. They're a calculated strategy to keep you destabilized. When you're constantly questioning your own perception, you become easier to control. This is psychological manipulation at its most dangerous. And it's one of the main reasons victims of narcissistic abuse take so long to leave. They genuinely stop trusting themselves. Number 3 might hit close to home. They have a deeply fragile ego hiding behind extreme confidence. On the surface, they seem untouchable, bold, assured. But the slightest criticism, even a gentle, loving one, triggers a disproportionate reaction. Anger, silent treatment, verbal attacks. What you're actually seeing is someone whose self-worth is built on a glass foundation. They need constant admiration, not because they're confident, but because without it, they feel like nothing. And this leads directly into number 4. They require a steady stream of admiration, and they drain the people around them to get it. Psychologists call this narcissistic supply. It's attention, validation, praise, and control. Once you stop providing it, or once the novelty of you wears off, they either discard you or ramp up the chaos to pull you back in. This is why so many people describe relationships with narcissists as exhausting. Because you are, quite literally, their emotional fuel source. We're at number 5, and this is the one that trips people up the most. They play the victim masterfully. This is not the behavior people typically associate with narcissists, and that's exactly why it's so effective. When they're caught in a lie, they become the one who's been wronged. When they've hurt you, somehow you end up apologizing to them. They have an extraordinary ability to rewrite history in real time, casting themselves as the misunderstood hero in every story. If you've ever walked away from an argument wondering how you ended up being the bad guy, you've experienced this firsthand. Number 6 is subtle, but absolutely critical. They have zero respect for your boundaries, not just occasionally, systemically. You say you need space, they push harder. You say something bothers you, they do it more. Boundaries to a narcissist are not agreements, they're challenges. And when you enforce a boundary, they react with punishment, manipulation, or emotional withdrawal. Because to them, your needs are an inconvenience to their control. Here's number 7, s'achartir der all, and this one explains a pattern millions of people experience but can't name. They idealize you, then devalue you, then discard you. This cycle is so well documented in psychology, it has a name, the narcissistic abuse cycle. In the beginning, you are the most extraordinary person they've ever met. Then, almost without warning, you can do nothing right. Then they're gone, often to someone new, and the cycle restarts. The whiplash of this is psychologically devastating because your brain keeps chasing the version of them from the beginning, the one that made you feel so special. That version isn't coming back. Number 8 is one people rarely expect. They are obsessed with status, appearances, and how they look to the outside world. The car they drive, the neighborhood they live in, the people they associate with. They curate their public image with surgical precision because to a narcissist, perception is everything. The face they show the world and the person they are behind closed doors can be almost unrecognizable. And here's the chilling part. The more charming and admired they are publicly, the harder it is for their victims to be believed. And number 9, this is the one that tends to create the longest lasting damage. They make you feel like you are the problem. Through consistent criticism, comparison, blame shifting, and emotional manipulation, they erode your confidence until you genuinely believe that you are too much, not enough, too emotional, too needy. This isn't accidental. A person who doubts themselves is far less likely to leave. If you have spent months or years feeling like you are constantly failing someone, please hear this. That feeling was carefully constructed. It was never the truth. Here's what you need to understand before we wrap this up. Recognizing these behaviors is not about labeling someone or winning an argument. It's about protecting yourself. It's about finally having language for what you've been experiencing. Because once you can name it, you can start to make sense of the confusion. And once you make sense of the confusion, you can begin to heal. Narcissistic abuse is real. Its effects are real. And you are not crazy for feeling what you felt. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Which one of these 9 signs hit you the hardest? Which one made you stop and think about someone in your life? Your comment might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. This community, here at Narcissistic Insights, is built on people like you sharing the truth so others don't feel alone. And if you recognized more than 3 of these signs in someone close to you, there's a video coming up next that goes deeper into what to do when you're actually living with a narcissist. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Stay aware, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next one.